So I gotta go. I have to text him because we have a different setup. It's not coming through there until he turns my mic on.
So you, okay, good.
So is Brennan going to introduce them? Shirley, is Brennan going to introduce Tom and Karen? Okay.
You know, I wonder if this could have anything to do with what detergent they use when they wash it.
Good evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the school board meeting this Tuesday, September 1st. Please stand for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, it's only gonna pop up when they're ready.
Mr. Superintendent, do you have anything to report to us today?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. And good evening, everyone.
I cannot hear or see the school.
His mic is on.
I think you should recognize Jane virtually.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Yes, you can.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate that. And good evening, everyone. It's great to see everyone. And I wanted to also make you aware that our other board member, Jane Goodwin, is joining us remotely. So she is out there. And then I also wanted to introduce two of our new board members and congratulate them. One, Karen Rose. Karen, you can stand up. Congratulations, and also congratulations to Tom Edwards. I want to thank you both for being here tonight. Thank you very much. I just had a few items here, Madam Chair and board members. First of all, I wanted to talk about the first day, first couple days. I thought they went extremely well. I was at an elementary school to start the day yesterday, actually at the bus barn or bus depot yesterday to begin the day, as were many of you, as the buses pulled out, and they were on the road at 5:45 in the morning, and they were doing a great job. And I do want to say that I want to congratulate them and let you know that we were at 93% on time on the first day with our transportation department. So Jason Harris is our director, and I want to thank him and thank the transportation department for a great job. Also, at the elementary school, I was at Brentwood Elementary to start the day, and it was great to meet the principal. I've been going to different schools to meet the principal and the folks, and that was the first time I had been to Brentwood. And the teachers there are absolutely amazing. They were so caring and wonderful with the students coming in. We had the parents were driving through the car line and dropping off their students. And in the back there, we had our pre-K students and our kindergarten students who were getting out of the cars. And they had a little section there where they were taking pictures of them to start the day out. And it was just wonderful to see those little ones and get that picture taken and move forward. They all were in the cafeteria to start the day. They ate breakfast, which was very nice. And they were social distanced at the tables. They all had their little masks on, and everybody had a little different type of mask on. I saw Spider-Man and Batman and a bunch of other type. So it was very, very good to see the start of the day there, and everything was just going so smoothly. I was able to get into some classrooms as well to watch the teachers as they were working through their remote learning on the video with their remote students and with the students in front of them. The students had their desk shields on their desk, and during breakfast, they also had their desk shields that the students actually carried to their classroom when they were finished with breakfast. So I thought it went very, very well. I was very pleased with what I saw. I was also over at Sarasota Middle School, excellent place as well. Wonderful teachers. The food service folks were there. I was able to talk to them and watch what they were doing. And they had warm food, and it was pre-wrapped. And I thought they were doing an excellent job. Also, the custodial staff there was cleaning in between lunches. They had this nice spray that they could spray on the tables in between lunches, so that the students had a very clean place to eat lunch. Also, I noticed that especially at Sarasota Middle School, they went from 3 lunches to 6 lunches, which was, it enabled them to spread lunches out and have less students during lunches and have them spread out in the cafeteria, which I thought was a great idea. I do want to say hats off to our principals and our leadership teams. I think the day began and went very smoothly because of all the planning that they had done. I was very, very pleased with all of that. And our teachers, again, did just a fantastic job. The other item I wanted to bring up was the Department of Health, and we've been obviously talking with them on a daily basis, and one of the things that we've been talking with them about is testing, having testing for our teachers and possibly for our students as well as needed. And we were able to work it out with them that they would provide tests at a couple of locations in our school district, which we're putting the logistics together now to make this happen. But one spot would be in the north end where the Department of Health is located, and the other spot would be transportation in the middle of the district. And what we're trying to do there is have anyone who might be sick or thinks they need to have a COVID test. Our teachers, for instance, could leave their school and go to, let's say, the bus depot, have a test done, and the Department of Health would then take that test, or all the tests, in the afternoon to Tampa, which will allow us to have a 24 to 48 hour result. And if they were negative, be able to get that teacher right back in the classroom, so we wouldn't have a prolonged substitute with our students. So we see that as a fantastic thing, and we're trying to put that together as we speak. Our accountability department also is creating a dashboard, and the dashboard is to allow the community and the press and anyone who would like to see what the number of COVID tests we have on a daily basis. And so they're putting that together. I looked at the prototype today, and they're putting the finishing touches on that so that you'll be able to go on our webpage and very easily see the number of COVID positives that have come up that particular day at particular schools. Just to give you a report on that, as of today, we have in our district-wide, we have 6 students who are positive, but they've never been on campus. So these are ones that parents have called us and let us know that their child is positive and they won't be in school until they are finished with the COVID positivity. So right now, like I said, 6 students, they've never been on campus. We have 2 staff members who also tested positive, and they have never been on campus as well. Since we started the school year, that's going to happen. So 32 are quarantined, 24 are students. 24 of the 32 are students. 7 of those were adult students, and then 8 staff who are quarantined and will come back when the time is right for them. As far as our HVAC filters, I know there's been questions about that, and I wanted everyone to know that we have purchased MERV 13 filters for our HVAC system across the entire district. It was $850,000 worth of those filters, and they, according to our engineers, our HVAC engineers, that is exactly what we need to take anything out of the air, including the virus. So we did pay for those, and they will actually be in about 4 weeks, because I think the entire world has decided to buy those. So in about 4 weeks, we will have those. I also want you to know that I'm going to pull item 28, and item 28 is related to the cultural responsiveness issue. And what I want to do there is take a look at that, review our cultural responsiveness initiative. I want to understand it better And as we look at culture and climate, I think culture and climate is very important. I know that when I was interviewing, I had said that that was very important, and we need to definitely look at that. We can always improve, I think, our culture, climate, communication, and so on. But I think I want to pull that back and review that. I want to create a team to look at that, which would include people of the community, different people in our schools, teachers, administrators, and then obviously district level folks as well, to take a really good look at that and slowly understand what we are going to talk to the teachers about and how we're going to do that. I know that when we had the training for the teachers this year, it was during pre-plan. I know it's a tough time for the teachers to be having any kind of professional development because they're in their classrooms getting ready with their lessons and so forth. But I do want you to know that we are going to continue to look at that to see what is the best way to move forward. I told you this before. I do think that as we work with students, trying to figure out the best way to educate our students, looking at their background, looking at their experiences, building relationships with their families and with them, doing everything we can to build that positive culture and climate allows us to teach all students very, very well. But I do feel like we need to pull back on that, take it slower, and take a look at what we're doing and how we're doing it. And so I'm pulling that back. In the future, we'll have a workshop on that so that everybody knows what we're doing. And then I'll bring it back to a board meeting at a later date. I also wanted to just remind you, about our civility squad topic for the month. And that is respect others. And so all the teachers will be talking through that throughout the month of September. And then also we do have two football games on Friday. One will be at Sarasota High School, the other at Venice High School. And I just want to make sure everybody knows too that we are going to be at 25% capacity. We're going to ease our way back into the capacity at all of our athletic events. So we're going to be at 25% capacity. Also, there was a question, if I may, that BLM or Black Lives Matter was part of our curriculum in our school district. And I have discussed this with our curriculum department and all of our directors, and Black Lives Matter is not part of our curriculum here in Sarasota County. So I just wanted to express that because I did get many emails, and I want to make sure people are just clear. I just want to give you facts and make sure you understand where we are on that. Also be looking for some videos about the first couple of days. I know we created a few videos walking around the schools, talking to teachers, talking to parents, and I hope you view those as well. It was, like I said, very positive over the past couple of days. So again, I want to thank everybody for being here and want to thank you, the board, for listening to my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Aspin. Mrs. Ziegler?
Thank you. Dr. Asplund, thank you for some of those clarities, and also congratulations on the first week, a unique one, no doubt. But one additional item I just wanted to bring up as we move forward was, I know that you had spoken, but the County Commission had approved additional funding for the Newtown community for additional access to internet access. And so I wanted to thank the County Commission for that. That was part of the CARES Act funding that they got for the community. That was a collaborative effort, and definitely one that will certainly help the county, but certainly specifically target and assist our students. So I just wanted to, again, say thank you to our county commissioners for that. And one other thing I just wanted to add, because I know in our upcoming workshop, and we talked about the dashboard that we're working with the Department of Health, but that at our next workshop, if we're able to have some member of the Department of Health talk to us, just giving us an update, because I know one of the discussions, and as I've read and had lots of people reach out as far as the mask, and I know we would be continuously evaluating that, I believe, at the September 15th workshop. Yes. So if we have a member of the Department of Health and or Dr. Gordillo, so we can targetly ask those questions at that time, particularly on the effectiveness, duration of time, expectations, et cetera. So thank you again for the great work.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. We are now at the hearing of citizens. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. When the timer flashes yellow, 1 minute remains, and you need to summarize, and you must stop speaking when the buzzer rings. Please note that respect for divergent viewpoints and civility will be shown at every board meeting. Whether you agree or disagree with the speaker, you should listen politely, respectfully, without making any sounds of approval, including clapping. If you want to do something, you can do this or just snap or something, but no noise, please. It's just disruptive. And also note that we will not be responding to your questions as a board, but staff is here listening, and they will take into account what it is that you say today. Anyone causing a disruption per State Statute 1001.372, Paren 3, will first be given a warning, and if the conduct does not stop, you will be removed from the chambers. So therefore, I have officially warned you, which I haven't had to do yet. First speaker is John Russo.
Am I allowed to take my mask off when I speak?
No, we have to speak with the mask on.
Okay, but am I allowed to?
No.
I'm asking you.
No.
Okay, so I am not allowed to. Okay,
No.
thank you. My name is John Russo, and I am the father of 5 children who have attended Sarasota County Public Schools. I am a former 25-year teacher, coach, athletic director, and former Brookside Teacher of the Year. I am here tonight to inform the public that this current school board voluntarily placed an extremely violent student who had been removed from 3 previous middle schools into the general student population of Brookside Middle School, directly disregarding the warning of the executive director of middle schools not to do this. Whomever made that fateful decision of overriding this executive director has taken zero responsibility for it and is yet to come forward and explain their logic. Why is it that administrators from the landings are allowed to hide from their poor decisions and blame it on other employees? Why am I being used as a scapegoat for their poor decisions? Why was I accused of being a racist? Lori Al-Hadef, the founder of Make Our Schools Safe and mother of slain Parkland student Alyssa Al-Hadef, called me yesterday to offer me support and expressed her disgust at the Sarasota County School Board's handling of my situation. My situation had nothing to do with the color of this student and everything to do with the dangerous actions of this student and his bad character. Bad character is a sign of danger. Past violent actions are a sign of danger. Not conforming to the most basic reasonable request on a public school campus, please stop and identify yourself, is a sign of danger. Threatening to punch a teacher in the face and then punching the principal in the face is a sign of danger. You are creating the next generation of Jacob Blakes. You are confirming to black students in Sarasota schools that displaying disobedience, defiance, threatening behavior, and physical violence is not only okay, but there will be no consequences handed out. You would never allow your own children to act this way, but you agree that these inferior standards are acceptable for black students in our schools. That is racism. You are Amy Cooper. You also allowed Brookside Principal Matthew Gruhl to openly violate school board policy by letting students out early and unsupervised, which led to hundreds of innocent students being placed in harm's way. You also allowed Principal Gruhl to lie publicly about not being punched in the head by this student, even though the video clearly shows him being punched and the student openly admitted punching him. You also allowed Principal Gruhl to erase student cell phone videos that contained evidence recorded from the incident that day. Principal Gruhl and SRO Todd Perna pronounced me guilty that same day without ever questioning me or any other witness as to what had transpired, and you were okay with that. Continuing this injustice, SRO Perna issued a police report the very next day after the incident that clearly stated that Principal Gruhl had been struck twice by the student. But after Perna had a private conversation with Principal
Thank you,
Gruhl
Mr. Russo.
and Principal Gruhl, that's time?
Thank you. That's time.
Okay, I'm
Thank you.
sorry. Thank you very much.
Eleanor Buck.
I missed my yellow.
Good evening, Superintendent Asplin, members of the Board of Education. My name is Eleanor Buck. I am a retired public schools teacher from the state of Connecticut. I served as a mentor, cooperating teacher, and lead teacher, which means assuming the role of principal when he was absent. I was a recipient of an award from the state of Connecticut, which is called the Celebration of Excellence Award. After retirement, I was hired as a consultant to work with beginning teachers. I listed my credentials so you would know from which perspective I speak. I have a passion for education, and I was very upset when I read and heard about this travesty of injustice which happened to the teacher, John Russo. I came to the conclusion that it was easier to use him as a scapegoat than to hold other people accountable. Former Principal Matthew Gruhl scrambled to confiscate the students' cell phones of the incident. He is responsible for other infractions in this occurrence. Attorney Jennifer Compton, hired by the former superintendent, said the whole incident began with Mr. Russo. No. It began when a board member placed that student in Brookside School against the recommendations of their superior. That's when it began. Why isn't this person held accountable? Why isn't their name public? You worked hard to get elected, and the decisions that you make affect other people's lives. It is your sacred duty to investigate and consequent other people who were involved in this incident. Imagine this scenario. A child you love is encountered in a physical altercation at school. What does the teacher do? Hesitates, of course. The teacher's going to hesitate. Would the teacher dare put his or her hands on the student to intervene? No, they might be fired. Should the teacher stand back and not do anything? Maybe they're fired for that reason. Do you understand the situation that you put teachers in and students in? Your decision to fire Mr. Russo could have dire consequences. Investigate and consequence. Now we all know what the saying means when we say to throw somebody under the bus. Investigate and consequence. You have a sacred duty. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Mary Andrews.
Good evening. I didn't prepare anything. I decided to just speak from my heart. I've worked with John Russo at Brookside since 2005. I've taught his children. I've coached with him. And I'm just going to give you a little brief scenario that relates to what happened to him. And I'm going to speak to you as a teacher and as a parent. One day, while supervising outside of my classroom, two students were in a fight right in front of me, and there were cameras. One student was beating the other student. I got down and I screamed, "Stop, stop, stop." The other child was being beaten. I instantly, morally knew the right thing to do, and within seconds, I grabbed, and these children were bigger than me. I grabbed the other student and yanked him off. And I knew in that moment I could be fired. But as a parent, morally, I knew it was the right thing to do. But as a teacher, I was told it was the wrong thing to do. So as a parent, think. You expect teachers to protect your children, but we are being told, do not touch a child. I am a mentor to new teachers. What should I tell them to do? Thank you.
Thank you. Phil Hazenchera. Sorry if I butchered your name.
Nice try, thank you. Good evening. My name is Phil Puzanchera, and I'm currently a 6th and 7th grade social studies teacher at Brookside Middle. As we embark on a new school year with new challenges, I come here to speak on behalf of the need for you, the school board, to focus on school safety. I come here tonight to support those teachers who want to teach their content, to teach it well, who want to build relationships with their students, but are frustrated because they cannot do so due to the constant repeat offenders who are not having their needs met. I come to advocate for support staff, for guidance counselors, for behavior specialists, campus aides, and administrators who are tired of not being able to have more impact on students because school-based interventions are not working. Our district recently held a training on cultural linguistic responses to students to help us better understand and respond to our students. Since we are still learning what this program actually entails, we keep an open mind. But if this program simply asks more for teachers to do, and we do not stop and actually address the needs of those repeat offenders who have been sent out of the classroom only to be sent back of our rooms, then we've just spent money on a program without addressing the real problem. This is not a safe environment for learning, not for those students who come to learn, but more importantly, this is not being responsive to the needs of those students who are in need of more services. If we are to play a part in ending the school-to-prison pipeline, we have to do something differently. If we are going to continue to pass students along who we know have been behavior problems and have been disruptive in their classes constantly since elementary school through high school, what are we as a district going to doing to keep them safe from the emotional strain due to the lack of services? You must do a better job for our students so we as staff can do our part to assist all students. If we are to put into motion what I believe is at the heart of what Dr. Holly wants us to do and to understand all kids, then we need to do more, and that means you have to do more to lead more, truly making schools safe, emotionally safe, academically safe. You need to take a closer look at the budget to ensure funds are provided more equitably to address the needs of each individual school. If this is addressed, then students such as the one John Russo had to restrain will more likely get their emotional needs met. Yes, I am here to support my friend and colleague John Russo, but more importantly, I'm here to support Sarasota County students and staff. After 2+ years of a legal struggle, Mr. Russo's situation will be over. But what is not over is the uncertainty we as a staff have on when it is okay to restrain a student. Ever since Mr. Russo used the district-approved technique to restrain a student who threatened him, we have not had any guidance on how we as a staff are to move forward if a similar situation arises. No one wants to restrain a student. No one wants to put their hands on a student that would cause them harm in any way. But there will be times when restraining a student will be needed. Moving forward, we need you, the Sarasota County School Board, to clarify, provide guidance and support for us on this issue. And I will just say,
Thank you very much. Please put your mask back on in the back that you've taken your mask off. Put it back on, please. We'll leave the chambers.
You're talking about me?
You and two ladies over here.
Oh, they had to have a medical condition, right?
We were advising you could social distance, ma'am, in the back. That's why you see the
I'm
man.
socially distanced.
Okay,
Thumbs up.
all right.
Thank you.
Nick Cola.
Good evening. My name is Nick Kohler. I am a father of 2 Sarasota County school kids. My son attends Sarasota High School as a sophomore, and my daughter attends Brookside Middle School as a 7th grader. My wife is the president of the PTSO at Brookside. I am a teacher with the Sarasota County Schools, and I teach 6th grade world history at Brookside Middle School. I am concerned for the safety of students and staff at our school, not from COVID-19, but from violent students whose needs are not being met by our current school model. As a parent, I worry about the kids that are not being held accountable for being violent in my children's classes. My son was attacked by just such a student, a child that had numerous referrals and had a history of attacking other kids. This child was allowed to continue to be a major behavior problem on campus because our schools are afraid to suspend or expel unruly or violent students. Referrals look bad on state reports. That kid was never suspended. As a teacher, after the John Russo precedent, I'm afraid that my colleagues and I are now in a no-win situation when it comes to dealing with violent and unruly students. If I do nothing and someone gets hurt, I know that the school district will hold me accountable. If I do something and those actions result in no other kids getting hurt, but I've had to restrain a student, I know that the school district will hold me accountable. I'll most likely get Russo'd. So what am I to do? Unlike the school resource officer at Parkland, Mr. Russo decided to intervene. Right or wrong, the results were that no other kids on campus were hurt. We will never know the true intentions of that young man. However, we know the results. The young man was never held accountable for his defiant and aggressive behavior, and Mr. Russo is being terminated. Shame on you. So what is next? As a district, we will roll out another program, hire another consultant who charges exorbitant fees, and all the onus for campus safety will be placed on us, school-based personnel. Like all other programs, this one's destined to fail. The school board needs to understand that funding schools based on enrollment and not on student needs is to continue past failed practices. We need alternative programs that address the individual needs of kids that are in crisis and are a danger to themselves and their classmates and staff. As a teacher, I can easily teach a class of 45 kids that are eager and willing to learn. However, trying to teach a class with just 5 kids that are in crisis and are not at school to learn is 100 times more difficult, if not impossible. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Continue down the same old road, doing the same old thing, expecting different results? Or will you ask our school-based personnel what they need, then provide them with specific resources they ask for to try to meet their population's need? This decision really is up to you. The question, will you support your school-based personnel? That's what I'm asking. I don't think you will. I think this will go away, and the same will continue.
Thank you. Byron McNamara.
Hi, thank you guys for being here. I'm sorry, but I'm not here for this gentleman, but I have heard about this gentleman, and it just makes me sick to know that I'm apparently in a room full of teachers. And it just, from what I've heard right now, I mean, you guys have made some pretty poor decisions, taking a livelihood from a man, and I don't even know it. So I'm going to take these fine people that teach our kids every day, and I'm going to take their word for it. So I would literally find out something to do other than what you're doing, because what you're doing right now doesn't work. And if all these fine people, you don't have them no more, what are you going to do then? You're going to make our kids suffer, right? Obviously, you're doing that now. You're making them suffer, so figure it out, okay? That's all I ask. I am here because you guys decided that you wanted to have my 2 twin boys wear masks all day at school at Lakeview Elementary. I'm going to tell you this right now. I showed up there, and my son is in distress wearing that mask outside that building. Inside, you guys have these little desk things that are on there. The desks are 6 feet apart from each other. And the teacher is obviously wearing her mask and doing her social distancing. Why in the name of God do you have our children sitting at their table behind their shields with their mask on when there's no need to? They're sitting in a chair. If they need to get up, then please have the teacher tell them to put on their mask. If they're going through a line and they're doing this or they're outside, you guys have to come up with some better rule so you're not damaging the social, mental, and physical aspects of our young children, because guess what? It's just not all about education. Mr. Superintendent, Ms. Zucker, Shirley Brown, I'm glad you're paying attention now, because you weren't paying attention when the other gentlemen and ladies were sitting up there, Mr. Hardy and Mr. Robinson. Thank you very much for your time. I don't want to do that, but please change this stuff for our kids. We have kids that are hurting, underlying conditions. Look out for them this time. Just change this rule tomorrow. It's great that's on-time buses. It's this. So what I saw when I picked up my child the other day from school, was an exhausted, mentally, physically distraught child. And I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you. Kelly Smith.
I don't want to talk about rights, conspiracy theories, or politics. I want to talk about the learning environment that you're responsible for creating, and a learning environment that we've hired you to do. We all know what makes a successful learning environment, and what I've seen the past 2 days of my 3 children in Sarasota County schools is not successful. Instead, you as a school board, you voted to give parents 2 options. One where children could attend school and at all times have their face and that of their teacher's faces covered, or they can sit in front of a computer all day and watch a teacher with her face covered. So let's address what this is doing to their learning. First of all, our brains are made to connect with other brains. That's how we learn and grow. In fact, when we look at someone else, subconsciously our brain evaluates their voice tone, facial expression, and emotions. When this connection occurs, the right side of a child's brain lights up like Christmas morning. That side's responsible for things like their ability to regulate, process sensory information, and emotional regulation, which we hear is an issue. And when this is covered up, their brains cannot work properly. In addition to the mask, we're also distancing them from other students and teachers. If a child has a medical reason to wear a shield, we're further separating them by requiring 6-foot clearance at all time. This takes a socially and medically vulnerable child and creates even more trauma. Let's talk about trauma, because clearly it's an issue. What does it do to the brain? Small acts of trauma can be even more damaging than one horrific event. It has an effect on regulation and memory, of function and structure of the brain. The hippocampus, memory actually shrinks, and the amygdala, which is involved in the fight or flight response, becomes incredibly more active. Right now, we have all these children going through collective trauma. Now you're taking away their ability to regulate because you're covering up their face. What are we doing to their brains at this expense? The masks you've mandated have a 15 to 20% effectiveness rate at filtering particles the size of the virus. So any child wearing one of those masks has up to an 85% chance of it not being effective, yet they have 100% chance of having their learning process and their brain negatively affected. All this when over the past week we've had a positivity rate of about 2.5%. Let's not forget, you still have children going to lunch, sitting down where they eat with their fingers and touch everything, and they're not wearing masks. Does COVID take a lunch break? I'm in no way suggesting that children should wear masks to lunch. When you have them take it off and put it on throughout the day, you're actually increasing the potential that any type of virus or bacteria is going back in their face. MRSA, staph, everything. What's gonna happen then? You're responsible for keeping children safe at school, but is this safe? Is it safe for their brain, for their social, emotional health, their future? What number of children will you be responsible for emotionally, socially, and neurologically damaging because of this? There's no data on children spending all day in a mask, because I'd be shocked if there's an IRB, International Review Board, in the entire country that would approve this, because it's so damaging to their brain and bodies. You're intentionally hurting them psychologically and potentially physically as well. We're not looking if an average mask filtration of 20% is better than nothing. It's is 20% worth the 100% chance of the damage to their academic, social, and emotional health. Please reconsider this ridiculous mask mandate, encourage hand washing, cleansing, distancing, and other safe and proven health practices. But please stop playing guinea pig science with these children and get off the mask, or at least come up with what you're gonna do to get rid of it.
Thank you. Neva Hirschfield?
I actually don't have my son in public school because I was really very discouraged when I found out a few months ago about how much power the school board has over our children while they are in school. And the moment I found out how much power the school board has over my child and what can actually be done against my knowledge or consent, I decided then and there, he's not going to public school. Not until all of that changes. The fact that you can Baker Act a child without a parent's knowledge or consent, the fact that you can send a child to counseling without the parent's knowledge or consent, I'm not okay with that. I'm my child's parent. I know better than anybody up there what my child needs. He also doesn't need to have his oxygen holes covered up all day long. I've sat in this room and I've watched every single person adjust their mask 100 times while they speak. That is far more damaging than no mask at all. Yes, maybe surgeons wear masks in the OR for 8 hours a day, but they're not touching their faces. They're also not wearing these. They're wearing different kinds of masks for appropriate reasons. These are nothing. They don't do anything except cause more harm. Thank heavens my child is in a private school where he can see his teacher's face. He can see his other classmates' faces. He's having a very wonderful experience, but it's the only school in the entire county that's offering normalcy. He can't go anywhere, and this is incredibly, incredibly damaging. The long-term effects on these children's development is going to be astronomical. It's going to be catastrophic. I'm a hypnotherapist, and I have people, my phone is blowing up right now with people with anxiety, with people having, everyone is so severely triggered right now. These are adults. What are the children doing? How are the children coping with this? This is insane what we're doing to our children. And I even have parents calling me, asking me if I can help their teenagers because their teenagers are having such debilitating anxiety. They're terrified to go back to school. They're terrified to go out. They're terrified of their peers. We're grooming an entire generation of children to be afraid of other people. The human race depends on interconnection. This is all being completely destroyed in the name of a virus where we can't even depend on the numbers. The CDC came out just the other day saying, oops, yeah, well, we called it 150,000, but it's closer to 9. I mean, if we're going to be implementing these widespread policies, let's at least have accurate data. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry, Frank?
Good evening. Our group, a lot of them that are here tonight, have sent multiple emails to the board members and members in the government locally regarding the mask topic. I look forward to seeing the September 15th hearing. What I would just like to say, to summarize, is that there is a lack of consensus among the medical and scientific communities about the effectiveness, if any, of proper mask use. Therefore, the mandates and the loss of informed and educated choice should not be prohibited, as it is not proven by overwhelming evidence or scientific data. The question then boils down to the second point in our letter: do the benefits outweigh the risks, as we've heard tonight? These are our kids, our teachers, our staff. I'm not just talking about the children. A lot of teachers have said this to me as well. They should have the choice of what type of PPE they would like to wear, if any. Staphylococcus, pleurisy, legionnaires, deoxygenation, headaches, lethargy, diminished immune response, all of these have been well-documented side effects. Wearing a mask is not harmless or a mere inconvenience. There are numerous side effects physically and psychologically. There are no long-term studies done in children, as you've said before, and it's not been proven effective. Our group polled 150 parents and teachers about where they stood on this issue. 97% of that group chose homeschooling this year because of the mask mandate. 75 families in Sarasota County, in our school specifically, chose homeschooling only because of the mask mandate. Not health concerns, not COVID, because of this environment that they were sending their child into. When students and teachers, those of whom already have so much stress on their plate this year, have to start having long-term adverse reactions to improper and prolonged mask use, I hope everyone is prepared to be held responsible legally and ethically. If you leave the choice in the hands of the individual or parent and they have repercussions, they've made an informed decision versus being coerced for fear of losing their job or ability to access their school. I recognize there is a difference of opinion, even in the interpretation and context of data. However, when something is mandated across the board, all for one, it is not unreasonable for us to ask for solid, undisputed research and data to back such a decision, none of which we currently have. My son had his first day yesterday, and after a summer full of camp and normalcy with other peers and children his age, he's 6, by the way, it was not a great day. He did not have a great first day. It was very heartbreaking. There are so many big changes to what they're used to. There's a lot they don't have control over. There's a lot we don't have control over. Give them back this small piece of control by merely giving them a choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy McLennan?
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for speaking up.
Good evening. I want to thank you first for saying, to start with, that you were rethinking the, what do you call it, responsive teaching, the cultural teaching. I got an email this morning, or a Facebook post this morning from Joe Gruder, who you probably all have seen that post now. Somebody slipped him a note warning about what was in these 2 videos that were being passed around. We've had a chance to look at some of them, and I'm glad you're rethinking it. Because my first thought was, after all this time, we're trying to teach our children right and wrong, especially as it deals with racism. And we've kicked God out of the schools. We don't teach godly principles anymore. And so we will go into, it seems like from those videos, a Marxist group that denies God as the place that we were going to get our moral teaching from. And that makes no sense whatsoever. And so thank you for doing that. And I wouldn't spend $115,000 for somebody to come in and teach these kids how to act right in race relations. You've got dozens and hundreds of pastors around here and Christians who would come in and do it for free. Another thing, since I've been sitting here, I'm totally opposed to the mask mandate too. There's not a scientific study anywhere about how it helps children. And that should be taken away. And then Mr. Russo, I don't really know his situation, but my wife has been a teacher or substitute teacher with Sarasota County for 10 plus years. And so as we were headed towards retirement, she told me that I might like to have some jobs doing some preschool, some substitute teaching. So I decided, okay, I'll do that. So I got certified as a substitute teacher here in Sarasota County. Went to 3 different classes, mostly middle school classes. And I had such a hard time with discipline in there, I couldn't get anybody to listen to me at all. I said, to heck with this, I don't need this, and so I'm not doing substitute teaching anymore. So any teacher that can deal with the stuff that they have to deal with and try to teach, they have my appreciation. But I certainly don't want anybody from California trying to inform Sarasota County about how they ought to do school.
Thank you. And that concludes the hearing of citizens. Dr. Aspin, do you have additions or corrections to the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair. Can you hear me? Am I on? Can you hear me? Oh, good. Yes, Madam Chair, I do. The following changes were made to the agenda after its publication. Item number 8, an addendum added for the instructional classified personnel report. Item number 42, attachments added for the approval of the annual financial report for the year ending June 30th, 2020. Item number 43, attachments added for the approval of the final budget amendment for fiscal year 2019-2020. And item number 28, approval of the contract with Teacher Created Materials ACCISS federal grant has been moved to a future agenda.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
I move.
Different, be better. Different, be better. Different, be better.
I'd like to move the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Is Mrs. Goodwin on?
Yes, she is.
Okay. All those in favor of the agenda, we're gonna do a voice vote because Jane can't vote. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And it passes 5
I
to
voted
0.
electronically. No electronic?
No electronic. They decided to do a voice vote.
Okay. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Announcements and communications. The public hearing to adopt the final millage and budget meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 8th at 5:15. The next monthly work session is scheduled for Tuesday, September 15th, a time to be determined. And the next regular board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 15th at 3 p.m. Mr. Robinson.
I just want to clarify something my learned colleague, Ms. Sigler, mentioned. I don't believe it's just Newtown. I think it's countywide, the internet access. So she had initially, I know that initially they were focusing on Newtown, but it ended up being countywide for all the free and reduced lunch. I just want to make that one slight correction. And please tell your husband my deepest gratitude.
I will.
Are there any comments that the board would like to make before we adjourn? We are adjourned.
Can I see that last part?
Yeah, I know, I was going to give it to you because